Welcome to my next From Season 3 episode review video, as I was able to watch the most recent episode of From on the MGM Plus app. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am every watch you're watching from, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. So I'm a pretty big fan of From. Got intrigued by the show because it was done by some people that were behind Lost. And Lost is one of my favorite shows of all time. Definitely top 5. If you want to check out anything else From related, I've reviewed every single episode thus far of From on this channel. So click right here with about 20 seconds left to go. That's the end screen. That'll be the link to all my From reviews. If there's a particular episode that you want to hear my thoughts. But I'm a big fan of this show, and I think season 3 thus far has been the best season, and I'm very intrigued to find out where things go. I'm hoping this show, when it finally ends, doesn't have a lackluster ending, because I feel like that could be something that could happen. Like it's like a bad M. Night Shyamalan twist, or something that you see coming a mile away. But I'm going to keep reviewing the show every episode, and just keep on going, and hopefully we get many more seasons of this really intriguing show thus far. But with all that said, this will be From Season 3, Episode 4. The title of this episode is called There and Back Again, and this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. So Tabitha gets out of the ambulance in the middle of the road, and she's told to get back in the vehicle by the Officer Acosta. I'm not sure exactly what her pronunciation is, but many crows then show up. Ethan looks at some pictures that Victor drew when the phone rings, and then Ethan answers the phone, and it's Thomas again. He says Mom's in the ambulance and she's in trouble. Jim tells Thomas to leave his children alone, and the person claiming to be Thomas says that they're not your children anymore. Interesting. Jim asks, what did he say? And Ethan says that Mom was in an ambulance and needs our help. Bacta, or maybe it's Bacata, doesn't want to pick up the dead crow and tells Tilly it's not a good idea to do tarot readings here. Donna checks in on Elgin, and he says he's good. Marielle examines Fatima, and Marielle is worried for Christy. And then Fatima says if it was Ellis, she'd be feeling the same way. Like, you know, if he went with a talisman and all this stuff, he's got extra people there for protection, and she'd be feeling the same way if Ellis did the same thing. So, and then Marielle finds out Fatima has been eating a little bit more, found something she could put down, and she doesn't tell her what she's been eating, though. Victor and Sarah talk. Victor tells Sarah he has to remember. He has to remember how and why. Too many things are changing. It's never snowed here before. The ambulance is driving at night, and Tabitha tells the driver to keep going straight, as the people in town can help us. It's not a good idea to go out at night in this place, Tabitha says to the EMT. Boyd wonders why Randall hasn't left the bus yet, as he could be in the station sound asleep by now. And Randall's like, I want to help. I've seen some crazy things, and if there's a way that we might be able to get out of here or stop these things, I want to be here to help out, he tells Boyd. And he says that dying isn't the worst thing that happens to you here, talking about what happened to him, Marielle, and Julie. Kenny and Christy talk at night. Christy tells Kenny that he can still talk to her, and then Jade says, maybe you can talk in the morning. Okay, I'm up now. What do you want to talk about? Victor has made a fort for him and Sarah in the basement, and then the suitcase that Victor buried that he brought with him had stuff from people that died after his mom left him that one time. Mom and his sister left him too at that point, and Victor wants to look at all the stuff to try to remember, because he was the only one alive, and there was a bunch of dead bodies like all over town. So he'd take possessions from the dead bodies, and looking at those possessions, which are in the suitcase, are going to try to help his memory of what happened. And then Randall says that these things have routines and patterns, but at the moment, none of the monsters are anywhere to be found. The ambulance drives past the bus while Tabitha tells the driver to stop, to which she's told they're not stopping. And then Ethan runs out of the house. Boyd runs out of the bus and catches him and then takes him back inside to Jim and Julie. The ambulance sees a body in the middle of the road. The monster then, the female monster, attacks the two EMTs. And then the cop, Officer Acosta, starts shooting at the woman that's a monster. The bullets, of course, have no effect, she sees. So she, then stuff gets kind of, behind her and she runs off. Tabitha wakes Henry up saying things in this town at night will hurt us. And she was handcuffed and she needs to get free. And there's no talisman on that ambulance, so they could come in there at any point in time, and Tabitha and Henry would be gone. And then the doors of the ambulance open, and it's Jim. So Jim and Tabitha are reunited. It was only 4 episodes, but not even 3 episodes. So Jim and Tabitha kiss. Boyd and Randall show up. Boyd is surprised to see Tabitha. She needs to get out of those handcuffs, though, and Boyd doesn't have any handcuff keys. Randall says that there's a toolkit on the bus, and he runs to go get it, or a toolbox toolkit. And then the female cop, Officer Acosta, is running while shooting the monsters. Someone in the colony house was actually shot while she was standing at the window. So apparently Officer Acosta is a bad shot, or she's shooting erratically. So she's shot while she's looking at the window. And then Bacta and Marielle attend to her. Randall gets the tools and runs back to the ambulance, which is right by essentially where the bus is. But monsters are in the way of getting back to the ambulance. So what he does is he tosses the toolkit to Boyd, and then he's going to go back to run to the bus, but then he sees a bunch of cicadas, and then that freaks him out, and he falls on the ground and just kind of lays there. Boyd is trying to find the keys on one of the dead EMT people for the ambulance, but he can't find them. And then one of the woman monsters when he's inside the ambulance, stands there with keys and actually tells Boyd to take them. But we get to keep Randall, though. So Boyd, after some consideration, grabs the keys while saying, "Fuck you." So these things are fucking with Boyd, like, hey, you can get away, but we want Randall. And then then after Boyd leaves, more monster. Well, he hasn't left yet, but more monsters surround Randall. And Randall says, "Boyd, don't you leave me, you piece of shit." Marielle is taking the bullet out of the Nikki, the person wounded at the colony house. She's managed to get it out with a pair of pliers. Boyd, Tabitha, Jim, and Henry go to the colony house. Donna tells Boyd it was a long night for everyone, it seems, when he asks what's going on. And then Officer Acosta uncuffs Tabitha, and then Tabitha tells her, "I fucking told you." Tilly tells Elgin, that poor girl, what if that was his sign when the crow came in and flew into the wall, and Elgin then sees the woman in his visions, in his dreams, while he's awake, or he hallucinates her. Elgin asks Julie what happened to, or I should say Ethan asks Julie what happened to you, and he says she's been different. She says she's fine, and Ethan says he doesn't believe her, and she says she's okay, and that's the truth. And then Ethan says, well, I can help out with anything going on. We need to stick together. We need, if they don't come back, this is it. This is us. That's all we have left. Then we have Jade telling Kenny and Christy that he's been hallucinating since he got to Fromville. Kenny tells Jade that Tian-Chen really liked Jade. Even when she frowned at him, she only likes people that she frowns at. Kenny, Christy, and Jade here banging. And then Christy asks, are you sure those things you saw today were hallucinations? And then we see a young Victor taking items from people killed by the monsters after his mom and sister left. And Victor doesn't have anything from Christopher. Christopher was the guy that was in the picture that Jade had. And then he starts freaking out, and Sarah tries to calm him down. Remember, I'm the bad thing here, so I'm here to help. And then she says, he doesn't have to be afraid. Victor then says the doll Jasper, the ventriloquist doll, was missing. The ventriloquist doll that Jade saw, that he screamed, went, ah! And he yelled at it, ah! And then Jim asks Tabitha, are you sure that's Victor's father? And she tells him about going to Victor's childhood home and seeing the basement and his mom having all these visions of the things that are in Fromville. And then Boyd asks Officer Acosta, you see what you've done? And Boyd's like, it seems like he's about to push her outside. And then Donna tells Boyd, you come with me right now. And they walk upstairs and they go into a room. They shut the door and then Donna starts crying. And then says, why can't this stop? Why can't they leave us alone? And then Boyd hugs Donna. We have Victor telling Sarah that Jasper belonged to Christopher, and he mentions that Christopher started seeing symbols. Like, he was cool, he's funny, and then he started seeing symbols, and then he didn't really talk to anybody anymore. And Victor says Jasper is the one who can tell us what happened. Ellis tells Fatima that every person has been on edge in this house lately. And then Fatima is actually sitting in the room with the deceased woman, Nikki, and she starts putting her fingers in the bullet wound hole and then starts licking her fingers. So Fatima is acting really strange. And then we have Boyd and Donna. They cheers to better fucking days, so they have some alcohol. And then they see flashing from outside and look out the window, and they see Randall lying on the ambulance with blood all over. But he appears to be alive, and that's what ends this episode of From. So another good episode of From. I'm going to score it an 8.7 out of 10. We get the reuniting of Tabitha and Jim, and of course we're going to get there, I assume, unless one of them dies, or some of them die, Tabitha will reunite with Ethan and Julie. So I'm going to give Tabitha, the female character of the episode, and I'll give Boyd, the male character of the episode. I mean, I can do and whoever I want, but those are the two standout characters in my opinion. Randall had some good moments. Donna has some good moments. Even our Officer Acosta, whatever you want to call her, she might be an important character. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of From and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of From. What would you rate the episode, and whom, if you had to choose, would be your characters of the episode? And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.